Hello and welcome to Oakland Side 510. I'm Esther Kaplan, the Oakland Side's new deputy editor, and we're thrilled that you've joined us for our third episode. Each week on the 510, we'll catch you up on the biggest news, plus take a deep dive behind the headlines. Today's deep dive, Oakland Side reporters Ashley McBride and Callie Rhoades dig into the lead crisis inside Oakland's public schools. That story, plus headlines and a roundup of events you won't want to miss, coming up. I'm here with Darwin BondGraham, our senior editor, to run through some of our latest headlines. How are you, Darwin?
Hey, I'm great.
So let's get into the news. Let's start with one that caught fire with our readers this week. Temple Nightclub Group buys historic Oakland Greyhound station.
The downtown Oakland Greyhound building was this iconic piece of architecture built in the 1920s. It was closed and abandoned in 2021, and it became overrun with graffiti and blight. Fast forward 3 years, the building was now just purchased by a man named Paul Hemming. He's well known for running a popular dance club in San Francisco.
Wait, so they're turning the Greyhound station into a dance club?
Maybe. They're not quite saying. According to planning documents filed with the city, it's going to be a retail, entertainment, and housing complex.
Hey, it's all better than an abandoned station, right?
Yep.
And here's some more positive news, though in this case, it was sparked by a horrible tragedy. Lakeshore Avenue Protected Bike Lane honors Oakland girl who died in collision. Yeah.
Back in 2023, a 4-year-old named Maya Correa, she was riding on a bicycle around the lake, on the back of a bicycle that her father was riding, and car door was opened by someone who had parked along the side of the road, and they hit the door. It threw them into the street. She struck her head on the pavement, and she died a few days later from a brain hemorrhage.
That is so horrible.
Yeah, from that moment on, Correa's family, along with the bicycle safety advocates in the city, they began pressuring the city to create a protected bike lane and other safety measures on that stretch of road. So last week, more than 2 years after the tragedy, the city broke ground on that project. Maya's grandmother spoke and said she was grateful that at least some meaning would come from this horrible tragedy.
Wow. Well, now is a very good time to remind anyone when you open your car door, check for bikes first. On to our next headline, Darwin. Oakland will continue ticketing stolen cars for the foreseeable future.
Right now, when someone gets their car stolen, a lot of times it's just for a joyride or a sideshow. And when the thief is done, they'll just dump the car somewhere. And then that car will just sit there and start accumulating parking tickets, up to thousands of dollars worth of them in some cases. Last month, an Alameda County grand jury found that had happened with hundreds of stolen cars between 2022 and 2024. And they criticized the city for failing to prevent this.
Why can't whoever gives the parking ticket just check a database and see, hey, this is a stolen car?
Seems like the logical thing to do, right? And in San Francisco, parking enforcement can do that right now. Unfortunately, in Oakland, the system police use to ID stolen cars, it's not accessible to parking enforcement technicians. Oakland's Department of Transportation, which oversees parking enforcement, they did begin a process back in February to try to find a vendor who can give them access to a stolen car hot list, but it's not clear when they'll move forward on that.
Okay, last headline. Why is Couchdate leaving downtown? It depends on who you ask. What is Couchdate, Darwin?
Yeah, Couchdate, it's a bar, a record store, and event space. It was located in downtown, in Franco Gowa Plaza, right by City Hall, in a building that the city owns. It's marketed itself kind of as a third space for creators in the Black and Brown community where they can put on shows, host events, and just bring people together.
So why are they leaving?
So Couchdate's owner, Emmanuel Singh, said it's because of lack of support from the city. In particular, he says the city didn't do enough to keep the area around it safe. There was a shooting in the plaza back in May. He also says the city has been kind of adversarial toward them, even citing them for what he claims were authorized events.
Okay, so that's Singh's take. What does the city say?
The city's got a very different story. They say they've gone out of their way to collaborate with Couchdate to try to make things work, but that they repeatedly violated city codes. Also, city documents show that officials were concerned about ties between Couchdate and a local investor who has been accused of failing to pay rent on multiple other commercial buildings downtown.
Well, let's zoom out. Why is this more than just a dispute between one venue and the city?
Yeah, the bigger picture is that Oakland's downtown is having a really hard time right now. Its vacancy rate is 3 times what it was before the pandemic. So the city is going to need to figure out ways to attract and keep more businesses. And that includes on Franco Gala Plaza, which is really like the heart of downtown.
Thanks so much, Darwin. Coming up, Oakland Side reporters Ashley McBride and Callie Rhoades help us understand the lead crisis in Oakland schools. Last August, Oakland families began to receive disturbing reports about high amounts of lead in the drinking water at their children's schools. Lead is known to cause developmental delays, learning disabilities, and brain damage, and some Oakland schools had more than 100 times what the district deemed safe in their faucets and drinking fountains. Families were shocked to learn that not only were their students potentially drinking unsafe water, but the district had been sitting on the test results for as long as 4 months without alerting the schools.
The first day of school is supposed to be the most exciting day of the
That August, families and staff from Frick United Academy in East Oakland joined a school board meeting to blast officials and demand answers, and our reporter, Ashley McBride, was the only journalist there.
have health impacts on our students and staff that will last longer than any of your time on the board.
So why did the district fail to notify families in time? And what is it doing to resolve this crisis now? Ashley, you've been digging into this story for more than a year with Callie Rhoades, and you have some answers. Take us back to the beginning of the story. When did the Oakland Unified School District first realize it had a lead problem?
It all started at McClymonds High School in West Oakland in 2017. The former basketball coach at McClymonds raised alarm about dirty water, which led the district to test the water at McClymonds and at schools around the district. They found dozens of schools with elevated lead levels. Prompted by that crisis, the school board created a clean drinking water policy requiring the district to test samples of the drinking water at all school sites and make sure students and staff have access to clean water. It's still unclear whether all of the repairs of those fixtures in 2018 were completed by 2024.
So the district knows it's had a lead problem for a long time. Bring us up to 2024.
In 2024, the district started testing their K-12 sites. This would be the first time since 2018 that they did a round of testing at all schools. But they were still doing random sample testing, not testing of every single drinking water source on campus. Starting last spring, in April 2024, they start getting the test results back, and they're pretty bad. Elementary, middle, and high schools from West Oakland to East Oakland, from the flatlands to the hills, had elevated lead levels on their campuses.
So take us inside a school. What did that look like on the ground for a principal just trying to prepare for the school year?
Many principals didn't find out that their site had been tested or needed repairs until a week before school started. At Crocker Highlands, which was tested in June last year, the principal learned about it when she ran into someone on her campus working on the water fixtures. She sent an email to risk management saying she was surprised to hear that water had lead in it, that she and her staff had been in the building using sinks and the water fountains, which had not been covered or taken out of service. Other principals were saying similar things, that staff had been using the fountains and sinks without knowing whether they'd been tested or if they had elevated lead levels, and they were panicking because they were days away from students returning for the first day of school.
How did this breakdown happen? Wasn't there a policy in place that the district had to notify schools and families?
Yes, the district policy was that schools had to be notified within 1 day. That didn't happen. The school district has acknowledged the breakdown, saying that the system that they had set up, where just one person was responsible for coordinating testing, receiving lab results, creating the repair orders, and notifying the schools, was not sufficient to handle 80-plus school sites, especially when so many schools needed repairs.
Well, I had a daughter at Melrose Leadership Academy at the time, which is one of the schools with elevated lead levels. And I can tell you this was also incredibly confusing and upsetting for families too. So what do we know about how the district responded once the crisis was public and families were demanding answers?
So starting that first week of school in August, the district started sending out emails to families at the affected schools, telling them that routine water testing had revealed elevated lead levels on their campuses and they were undergoing repairs. The district says they've put a team in place with representatives from risk management, facilities, plumbing, and communications who will make sure that testing and communication happens in a more systemic way. But for a lot of families and staff, their trust has been broken that the district can keep students safe.
Well, thank you so much for your reporting on this, Ashley. We are also joined by your co-reporter, Callie Rhoades, who will pick up the story. Callie, what has the district done to protect its 34,000 students?
Yeah, so following the lead revelation in August of 2024, the district rushed to start remediating their issue. Fixtures that had come back with lead levels above 5 parts per billion were bagged and shut off, and the district started to work to repair them. They installed at this time over 200 filtered water stations at the cost of around $640,000. And to date, they've almost reached their goal of having one filtered water station for every 200 students at a given school. This year, they hope to reach one for every 100 students at a school. To date, they've allocated around $20 million for lead abatement from various funding sources.
So by bagged fountains, I just want to say, please go to oaklandside.org and look at these photos. We're just talking about a garbage bag taped over the fountain and a kind of hand-scrawled sign saying out of service. And that's just the beginning of the problems in these remediation efforts. What else went wrong here?
Yeah, well, first of all, there was an immediate issue with the bagged water stations themselves. At this time, the district was still randomly testing their drinking water sources, so even the ones that were unbagged were not necessarily safe. The district directed students and staff to mainly drink out of the filtered water stations, which were guaranteed as being lead-free. But they would often get clogged, and teachers and students said that repairs on these systems were often slow coming. Because of this, some teachers said that students didn't drink water at all, and they would come to class dehydrated and with headaches.
What a mess. So we know that OUSD is in somewhat of a precarious place financially. They only recently exited receivership, and they're facing a projected deficit of up to $30 million for the upcoming school year. So is the district actually able to afford the costs of getting lead out of the drinking water?
Yeah, it'll really depend. This summer, they've just completed a full comprehensive sequential testing of all their drinking water sources. Now that they've done this, they're going to work with outside analysts so that they can truly understand the source of their lead problem. Once this is done, they can then determine how they will remediate. If they do choose to do a full remediation of all their piping, they've estimated that could cost them upwards of $55 million. For now, they'll replace pipes at schools already getting capital fund renovations and continue to remove and bag fixtures from service and install additional filtered water stations.
So, of course, the most important voice in all of this is the students. What have you heard from them?
The main thing is there is just so much distrust in their system. They're confused, they're afraid for their health and safety. They're also really angry at the district. At the same time, students and teachers have also used this as an opportunity to get involved and fill the gap they see the district has left. Students have worked to create informational materials for their peers and their parents. They've spoken to state legislators, spoken to the school board, to the city of Oakland, and created promotional materials to bring awareness to their struggles and their efforts. But in the end, many students and community members have reiterated that while these efforts are noble, the responsibility shouldn't be falling on them.
Thank you so much, Callie. Thanks so much, Ashley. We will definitely continue to follow the story of the Oakland side. Coming up, arts and culture reporter Azucena Racia tells us about cool Oakland events that you won't want to miss. To wrap up, we'll round up some cool Oakland events you might want to check out. I'm here with arts and culture reporter Azucena Racia. Hi, Azucena.
Hi.
So, this episode comes out on Friday, August 1st. Tell us, what is happening in Oakland this weekend and beyond?
Well, first up is Space Week at the Chabot Space and Science Center. Families can find activities, telescope time, talks with NASA scientists, and more. The last day to catch this is on Sunday, August 3rd, and you can check out their website to learn more. Tonight, it's Friday nights at the Oakland Museum. Besides the regular food trucks, folks can catch a drag queen story time with Persia, plus Filipino cultural performances and DJ sets. Next Friday, you can check out San Francisco Filipino rapper Amihan. Friday nights at OMCA runs all the way through October. And about a month ahead, fans of the rock band Military Gun will be excited to hear their tour is taking them through Oakland. You can check out their website to find out when tickets go on sale for their September 27 show at the New Parish.
Thanks, Azucena. And this is just a small sampling of Oakland events that we keep track of for you. We're talking theater, film, concerts, gallery openings, and more. If you want to be that friend who always has the best weekend plans, check out the full list on our website, oaklandside.org/events. Okay, that's our show. Thanks for listening. Oakland Side 510 is an experiment we're trying here at the Oakland Side. We're planning for 10 episodes for now, but if you love it, we'd love to do more. We'll be reaching out at the end of this pilot run about ways you can help keep it going. Did you love this episode? Have ideas for making it better? Please share your thoughts. And if your organization would like to sponsor some episodes, we'd love to talk. Our email is editors@oaklandside.org. Thanks to Ashley McBride and Callie Rhoades for joining us to talk about their excellent reporting. Thanks to Azucena Racia for keeping us up on Oakland events. Thanks to our senior editor, Darwin BondGraham. This show was produced and engineered by Charlie Mintz. I'm Deputy Editor Esther Kaplan. I edited this week's show, and we'll see you next week.